They have fevered egos that get bruised. That's
Talk about fevered egos that got bruised. Look at that. You see that right there, fam? That right there? That's a fevered ego that got bruised. And he's attacking a fucking woman of color for a couple weeks now because of it. Because his fucking honky ass was wrong on some shit. And he can't fucking handle it. Hey fam, welcome to Punks for Progress. I'm Reverend Aaron. Today we're talking about Jimmy Dore. We're going to talk about the Grayzone though too. And before you start yelling at me and accusing me of now canceling the Grayzone just because they supported Jimmy Dore, you'd have it wrong. I've taken issue with the Grayzone for quite some time. And I'll explain that first, and then we'll get into the video, which is, okay, so for those who don't know, Aaron Maté and Ben Norton put out a video yesterday where they had Jimmy Dore on for about close to an hour. And we're going to go through that whole thing. I went through about the first 5 minutes and saw it for the fucking hack bullshit that it was, and I'm going to go through the whole thing with you. So I've only watched like the first 5 minutes of it, and that's when I decided to go ahead and make this video. So let me clarify a little bit about why I say, that video is some hack bullshit, some hack journalism bullshit, but in general, the people at the Grayzone do real journalism. They're a handful of the few people out there that are actually a little bit left of center who do real journalism. Most of what we have out there in the progressive realms are talking heads. People who kind of basically do what I do, find clips and things in the news and then talk about it. I mean, I do more than that because I have organized a number of street actions over the years, and I will do that again in the future. And I also go and attend a lot of demonstrations and stuff, and so it's a little more than just finding videos and talking about it, but I'm not a journalist, okay? People like Ben Norton, Aaron Maté, and others in their circles, they do real journalism, okay? So it's a step above and it's different. But that's not to say that they don't have their own biases. I think that generally their journalism is really solid. But what lost me was the Mueller report. I really had all these guys back up until then. And here's the thing. They came out and they pushed all along that the Mueller report will show nothing at all. Meanwhile, the Dems were pushing this thing about the Mueller report is going to prove collusion between the Trump administration and Putin and the Russians to interfere and overthrow the election. Okay, that Democrat talking point, I never bought for a second. I knew that was all a monumental fucking bunch of garbage. That I understood the voting dynamics in 2016, that yes, people in Russia hacked some shit and did some shit to our election, but it is nowhere near what tipped the scales of the election. It's just not. The numbers just don't show it. Hillary did win the popular vote by roughly 3 million, and Trump won the Electoral College. Trump did not get together with Putin to try and win the election. That is ridiculous. I never believed that for a second. Neither did Grayzone, but that was what the Dems pushed. And then that's what they pushed for impeachment on Trump, was this collusion notion. And guess what? The Mueller report came back and didn't show a single shred of evidence of collusion between the Trump administration and the Putin administration to overthrow the 2016 U.S. election. Nothing. So, nothing burger, right? Well, no. And that is what Maté and the people at the Grayzone and Intercept and other places and Glenn Greenwald, they all were like, see, we've been telling you it's nothing burger. And I was going, But there's 5 counts of obstruction of justice that the Mueller team found. 5 felony counts that I know of, because I haven't read the whole Mueller report, and I doubt I ever will. But I did, when I saw reporting of people talking about, hey, there's these 5 counts, and they cited them, I went and looked, and yet, what do you know? They're there. So as far as I know, there's at least 5 felonies outlined in the Mueller report on the Trump administration. None of them have anything to do with collusion. They're all obstruction of justice. But these fantastic fucking journalists, right? I mean, come on. Yeah, they're journalists, but I got to call into the question their journalistic integrity on the Mueller story, because they came and said, nothing burger. We told you nothing burger. It's nothing burger. All the Dems, yeah, they lied to you, and we knew it all along. We told you it was a Democratic witch hunt, and we were right. And I'm going, no, you weren't. Yes, there was a ridiculous, stupid Democratic witch hunt over fucking collusion that didn't exist, and we all knew it. If anyone paying close attention knew that just wasn't, even if there was, it wasn't enough to sway the election. We knew that. But you can't ignore 5 felony counts. Mueller found something there. He found criminal activity within the Trump administration. And so for Mate and the Grayzone and others to come out and go nothing burger, well, that was a disservice to journalistic integrity, because it's not a nothing burger. And it also, these bastions of leftist fucking journalistic integrity allowed the Democrats to fucking establish the talking point line, to establish the rhetoric. All they did is respond to the talking points that the DNC establishment provided. And how is that integrity? How is that journalism? Okay, guys, well, we're going to devote ourselves for a year to showing why what the Democrats said is wrong and why it's nothing burger. Instead, they could have just went like, they could have done both. They could have pointed out that the DNC was wrong, that there's not collusion, and then said, but there is these other crimes going on. And then you could point to the DNC effectively, which is why I was frustrated with these guys at the time, because they didn't do this. They could point to the DNC and go, look, and tell everyone, see, they're ignoring actual felony crimes by the Trump administration. They're pushing this collusion thing that they know has no merit because they can do performative fucking resistance. They can do a performative impeachment that has no teeth. I mean, if they'd brought articles of impeachment for felony counts of obstruction of justice, Trump would have been removed from office. So I would say inadvertently, the folks over there at fucking Grayzone did the DNC and Donald Trump a favor. I've had an issue with these people for a while. Now, I don't disregard them outright. A lot of the people look, and I know I'd put them in with Glenn Greenwald and, Abby and other people, right? They're not all Grayzone, but that's a clique. They all hang out. Folks over at Intercept and shit, like that's their clique. Same thing where like Majority Report, Young Turks, Ben Dixon, like that's all a clique. They all hang out. That's a peer group. I'm not saying that's a bad thing that they hang out and that like-minded people associate together. But they have their bubble too, yo. And the difference between their bubble, and this is the thing that I noticed hints of, and you can go back and look for the videos and find the hints of it yourself. This is just my take on these guys, and I'm not telling you to never watch Grayzone or Aaron Mate or anybody. But the thing that I think really turned me off from them is the arrogance. It's this notion of we're a little bit above. They were above doing actual journalistic reporting and research on the Mueller report because these fucking, it's above us. I mean, it's below us. This Mueller fucking, witch hunt. It's below our journalistic integrity. Well, then I questioned your journalistic integrity in that case because there were 5 fucking felony counts in that report. And to call it nothing burger was incorrect. It was just incorrect. There was no collusion. But that's not nothing burger. So I just had issue with them. And then it was problematic in my personal life because there's people, comrades that I really, really genuinely respect who have, I think, in some cases, a overly trusting impression of this clique of just to the left of center journalists. I don't have any allegiance to these people. I care about if they're telling me the truth or not, and I care about where they come from and the level of integrity they exude. Now, I think they have high levels of integrity. They're far better than the vast majority of journalists out there. But there's a little bit of belief in their own hype shit going on. Because, I mean, they are really kind of the core of real journalism in America. There's not a lot of people out there doing real, truly historical style, solid fucking journalism. These guys, they do that a lot. And I need to be really abundantly clear about that. You see, I can walk and chew gum. It's not, oh, they're canceled now. And, oh, because I don't like Jimmy Dore, I'm mad at Grayzone. I don't work like that. I don't work like that. And I know this seems like kind of a long introduction and explanation, but I'm not even done. There's more caveat I need to give before we get into this fucking hour-long video. That I'm supremely confident I'm going to handily discount Jimmy Dore's take, and I'm going to illustrate to you how Mate and Norton did a disservice to journalism in the manner with which they platform Jimmy. They may ultimately surprise me because I haven't watched the full thing, but the first 5 minutes they're like, oh yeah, Jimmy, and here's why AOC also bad. And that brings me to the second point I want to clarify before we get into it. Excuse me. I'm not a big AOC supporter. I don't dislike her though. I am a leftist, socialist, anarchist who is very, very skeptical of the long-term game of any social democrat. The progressive or social I won't say dem sock because they're not socialist. They're sock dem. But they are, in the end, about accepting that capitalism is the status quo and then trying to put compromises on it. I'm not with that. But with that said, I think AOC comes from an honest place who really wants to see everybody get health care and wants to see a Green New Deal happen. Like, I think she genuinely wants those things, and I think that she's clear-eyed about if we're going to get it, there's ways to do it. And see, and this is why I disregard the progressive project of trying to utilize bourgeois electoral processes and legislative processes to bring about our ultimate emancipation. I think it's clunky and incredibly lengthy at best. And ultimately, more often than not, completely ineffectual. Now, that's not to say that AOC or Ilhan Omar or Pramila Jayapal or these other very decent people who are under constant attack for their gender and ethnicity and such from the right, by the way, which we should stand by them on and have their backs on and not be calling them evil on our supposed left-wing live streams, Jimmy Dore. But in the end, they're not trying to end capitalism. And so I think it's a little misguided, but most assuredly not evil. You know, Louis Gohmert is fucking evil. Mitch McConnell is fucking evil. Nancy Pelosi is fucking gross and evil. AOC is someone who's out there trying to kick some ass and do some good for the world. I'm skeptical as to whether she'll achieve her goals. But anyone who questions her sincerity, I just lose respect for you. But again, that brings me back to if you look through the history of capitalism and the socialist project, there's also been these sock dems or dem socks, right? DSAs, okay? Progressives who wanted to put these compromises on things. And what we found in history is that adherence to that project, like the equivalent of the squad, say 75 or 100 years ago in Europe somewhere, ultimately sided with the fascists. Like in World War II, the Soc Dems sided with Mussolini and made concessions to Hitler and shit. So I feel like some of my comrades are like a little too quick to expect that from people like AOC and others from the squad. But I don't think they're wrong to expect that it's possible. I just feel like they don't give them quite enough benefit of the doubt. And that's a very, very sort of weedy disagreement. It's not even a disagreement, right? Like I completely understand why they're quick to expect her to sell out. There's a lot of historic precedents for that happening. I just feel like she deserves a little bit of benefit of the doubt. Now, you're going to say, yeah, but she, Mama Bear, she called Pelosi Mama Bear. Of course she did. They're all working within bourgeois processes. And that's my like the core of my criticisms working within those realms is you have to get along with the scumfuckery that habitates those fucking circles. There's no getting around it. You can't walk in as 5 to 10 people and fucking just start mowing shit down. You will get done. So what's your alternative? You're going to have to kiss some ass to get a little bit done. Now, because I see that as ultimately being a big waste of time, I think it's really gross to then turn around and single out the people who are doing their best within this other arguably ineffectual processes or realms. At least they fucking give a shit. I mean, AOC is not the same as Nancy Pelosi. They're not the same people, and their goals are not the same. They are different. But you don't see what the fuck reports and videos on Punks for Progress and me talking about why we got to focus all our attention on supporting AOC or the fucking squad or anything. No, I'm talking about you need to join an anti-capitalist fucking revolutionary organization today. You need to join some kind of anarchist or communist organization. You need to be involved in some type of mutual aid network. Okay? If you want to vote and you want to throw your support behind politicians you believe in, I take no issue with that. Have at it, yo. But, go join the IWW also. Look into Workers' World Party. See what the RevCom's got going on. Okay? Maybe you've got an anarchist collective in your community that you could look into also. Okay, so there it is. There's my almost 20 minutes worth of caveats before getting into this. I just want to make it clear that this is not like, oh man, I'm all mad because Jimmy Dore's dissing my favorite politician, AOC. Like, I don't give a shit. I think the way he does it is really gross. And it's so boisterous and I'll say this, and this will be my last caveat, and we'll actually get into watching this fucking thing. Is that Jimmy's whole thing is about clicking on the mic and getting the clicks and getting the money for his $2 million fucking house. And it's already been clearly illustrated that what he's pushing for, if it happened, would ultimately kill any other effort going forward for Medicare for All. That aside, even if he's right, it would just mean that AOC's wrong. But he wants to make it out that she's this dishonest, nefarious, scheming person who really hates Medicare for All and is just trying to convince you that she's down for it so that she can actually destroy any hope for Medicare for All. That is fucking so over the top dishonest. It's just disgusting, and no one should ever have any respect for Jimmy Dore again. And the fact that the Grayzone would bring him on to support him saying this shit is a massive strike two on the Grayzone in my book. Again, Jimmy Dore doesn't fucking care about Medicare for all. Of course, he'd be happy if he would want people to have it, but he doesn't give a shit whether they get it or not. He knows every time he makes a video with AOC in the title, he makes thousands and thousands of dollars on that video. That's why he's doing what he's doing. He fucked himself at TYT, and he found himself a profitable lane after that. He is grifting. He is the conversation industrial complex, and he is making the life of the handful of decent progressives who are really trying to do something that they have very, very little chance of obtaining, and making it even that much fucking harder for them. Ben Dixon seems to think that Jimmy might be a fucking Fed or a cop, and he may not be wrong on that. But let's go ahead. We'll get into this over here, okay? Let's see, I had it set on a 1.5 playback speed. That's a little too fast, but I'm going to go 1.25 because it is an hour. And I'm pretty sure I have it queued up to where they're just about to bring him on.
Being attacked so vociferously. So we actually have Jimmy on, and I don't want to put him on the spot. I think, Jimmy, I don't know if you're ready, but do you want to say something? How are you doing?
I'm just wondering how is my tan holding up? Because I work a lot on my tan. It means a lot to me. Ever since I was a kid, I looked up to tan people. And this is the first year I really made a commitment to becoming a tan person. And, it's working out. I'm finding my wife is more attracted to me. She stays awake more often now when we have sex. True story. So anyway, what was the question?
Well, Jimmy, let me ask you, where are you at right now with all this? Just what is your take on the reaction you've gotten to this campaign, which has really taken off? And so let me start asking about the positive
The
reaction.
campaign has not really taken off. I'm sorry. It has not really taken off. What has happened is that Jimmy made a really stupid, shitty hot take that literally everyone across the board that has any fucking connection to the actual realms in which he's commenting on, like the bourgeois political processes, anyone who has any actual fucking like stake in the game is like, oh yeah, that won't work and here's why. And then Jimmy has done nothing but attack their personal integrity ever since. And then people are picking sides on this, which is fucking ridiculous. It's not about sides. I'm not on either of their side. I just know that Jimmy is monumentally fucking gross and wrong, and that his motivation is selfish and disgusting and profit-based. And it's like, I'm hoping that Ben Norton and Aaron Maté will at least touch on this. I don't think they do, but we'll see.
Don't have health care, about your campaign and what it means to them.
And there it is. That's dishonest framing. It's this idea that a bunch of people who don't have healthcare are like really excited about Jimmy's fucking proposal because they want to get healthcare. And if you're against Jimmy's proposal, you must be against healthcare? Like if you tell anybody, okay, what Jimmy's actually proposing is to push a vote in the Congress that will, everyone is in complete agreement will not fucking, will lose. And then what the Republicans will do is, so look, we tried Medicare for all. We gave it a vote. We brought it to the House and it lost. Let's move on. What Jimmy is proposing will fucking kill any hope for Medicare in Congress ever going forward. Now, what AOC is proposing doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to get universal health care or M4A, but at least there's a fraction of a chance under her model. Jimmy fucking, it guarantees it won't happen. But it's this thing of, but if everybody cared about M4A, they would get on board and they would vote for it. Oh, and it won't destroy it. the hope for M4A, what it'll do is it'll show everybody that Nancy Pelosi and the DNC are establishment aren't in support of M4A. So now we know they're all corrupt, even though we already all know that because everybody's already on record whether they're in support of M4A or not. We can find out who's in support of it or not already. And massive people are not in support of it and won't vote in favor of it. And you can say what you want about them. I'll agree with you. They're fucked and they suck and they're evil, that they won't vote in support of it. But me saying that and knowing it doesn't mean that they're going to now turn around and vote for it. The people who are saying that the vote will lose are not being defeatist. They're actually being realistic. They're being pragmatic and going, look, we just physically don't have the numbers. The physics ain't on our side on this vote. But Jimmy wants to frame it that if you take that position, you don't want Medicare for all, and you must be lying somehow, and you must be a nefarious, evil, disgusting scumbag, which is exactly how he talks about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. This man with a $2 million house shitting on this woman who was a bartender her whole life, and a student and got a job in Congress and has a little bit of money. I mean, he's punching down. He acts like she's this massively powerful people. They all do. They all act like AOC has all this power. And progressives think that because they all talk about the things she says and the things she tweets, oh man, things are getting done. Look, everybody's talking about it. And I'm going, so what? Great. Every talking head and every video show and every YouTuber is talking about the latest thing AOC said. That's not emblematic of something getting done because it has not manifested in any type of policy whatsoever. I think she really wants to, and I think she's really looking for the ways to make these things become policy. And one can argue that getting a groundswell of talk about a thing creates more popularity for it and has a better chance. But a better chance is not a guaranteed chance. And it still hasn't manifested. So I come out of this going, man, I don't have a whole lot of faith in what AOC and the squad are working on in it being effective. But I also walk away from it going, man, these are fucking good people who are actually really trying though. Like I respect them as people. And when I see Jimmy Dore come around and call him evil and all the shit that he's been calling them, I find it disgusting. And for Aaron Mate to come on first thing and frame it like, there's all this groundswell of people who want Medicare who support you. That's not honest. That is not an honest framing of this discussion at all. Or I should say, I don't know about, I'm not going to speak to his level of honesty. I'm going to say it's an inaccurate framing of this conversation. Let's get back to it.
Overwhelming support from people who don't have health care, even from people who do have health care. That's the big joke about America. I had health care when I got sick. It didn't matter. And you're in the worst part. Anyway, so everybody knows you're in the worst place to negotiate or worry. Or, you're dying. And now you got to go shop around. And it's not only that, but when I got sick, I had, they couldn't diagnose me. If you get sick in a really normal way, it's not too horrible usually. But I got sick in kind of a unique way, and they couldn't figure out for years what it was. And every time they would diagnose me, I would get a little sicker, and I would get a little worse, and a little worse. And then they would all tell me, oh, you should go see this guy, Dr. Charles Sharp. He's the best guy. And he didn't take my insurance, so I couldn't go. And so finally, my spine collapsed, and like 6 vertebrae just went like that, And so I was like, maybe we should go see Dr. Sharp. And so we did, and he fixed me first for one visit. He figured out, he looked at me right now, he goes, Jimmy, no matter where you go, no one will know what this is. And I said, well, how do you know? He goes, I saw it once before in 1968.
Wow. He
said, you have hypophosphatemic osteomalacia. So anyway, I started getting better. But the reason I tell you that story is because AOC is trying to say that my push for Medicare for all is not legitimate because I am not an approved Medicare for all activist. I don't know if you saw.
That's not what she said. That's not what she said at all. Okay, so you're a fucking liar, Jimmy. Okay, and just because you got sick once doesn't make your plan effective. And she didn't call into question your sincerity for MRA. She called into question the effectiveness of the plan for achieving it that you put forth. And you want to conflate it to her saying you don't care about Medicare for all. You're a fucking liar, Jimmy. And the fact that Mate and Norton aren't calling him out on it means I call into question their fucking integrity.
Saw her tweet that. She didn't name me. but she said the people who are pushing for a Medicare for all vote right now are not what did she say? They're not
Yeah, she said, that's right. Yeah, she said they're not grassroots activists. What was your response to that?
They're not grassroots activists. They're not grassroots activists. Not being in power and having a position doesn't make you somehow a grassroots activist. Like M4A, grassroots isn't. Hold on, let's see what he has to say.
What do you call what's happening right now? If this is this not grassroots? I'm just a fucking jagoff comedian in my garage. I made a video. I had an idea. I made a video about it, and I booked myself on as many independent news shows as I could to get the word out there, and I pushed it on social media. This is a grassroots campaign.
No, that's not what grassroots is, Jimmy. That is not what fucking grassroots is. Okay? One jagoff comedian with a microphone with a fucking shit hot take that he pushes on everybody he can find is not a grassroots movement. Grassroots involves lots of people getting together in rooms, hammering it out, talking about it, and organizing in an effort. Growing numbers, slowly, with hours and hours and hours of unfucking recognized and uncelebrated fucking volunteer work. Phone calls and canvassing and just hours and hours, late nights in the room, hammering things out and working out details. And oh my God. This is why I, as a socialist, take issue with working within bourgeois electoral processes, because the massive concerted effort and complex effort, multifaceted effort, grassroots effort that has to be the infrastructural fucking grassroots effort that has to be put into place to finally get somewhere to we can get enough people to actually vote for a thing is so daunting. And more often than not, you don't even get the vote. Okay? That's a grassroots process. And what these progressives and stuff are trying to do is, through all this street level organizing, not getting on a microphone and getting paid thousands of dollars to say fucking some shit of what you think should be done. That's not fucking grassroots. Jimmy, way up your own ass, homeboy. Me being on my mic is not organizing and is not grassroots. I've worked on grassroots stuff. I do consider myself an organizer. What I'm doing right now is not organizing. Even if I came up with a really, really great idea that a lot of leftists should consider and take into account, that would not have been organizing. That would have been me hot taking. The grassroots level is really getting together with them, listening to the criticisms that they have of my hot take, internalizing them and considering them. What Jimmy is doing instead is calling AOC names and questioning her integrity. And then acting like he's a grassroots campaign all unto himself. It's fucking disgusting, and it's massively disrespectful to the hundreds, if not thousands of people that have put in years of work. Jimmy thinks, yeah, I just went over here and went, click, and within 2 weeks, everybody's talking about a thing. I am so amazing. Gotta pop his head out of his own ass to go on the Grayzone, though. None of this is going to happen. None of what Jimmy is talking about will happen. And even if it did happen, like I said, it would kill the effort. Hence why it's not going to happen. He's not doing grassroots. What he's doing is all these people who have spent years working up to get to the point where we're almost, or they're almost to the point where maybe they can actually get a legitimate vote eventually. That actually, they get a few more people in there to really sway the numbers, that to get it to the point where it's something, if you do this now, they're going to say, we tried it. The people weren't for it. It was resoundingly defeated in the House and the Senate, and it'll never get on the fucking agenda again. Now, that's the response to Jimmy's take. What Jimmy should then do is calmly explain why that's inaccurate, if it is. He hasn't done that yet. He's clicked on the fucking mic and made a few $1,000 shitting on AOC over and over and over again. There's a bunch of his videos on his channel on this. And he makes thousands of dollars on each of them. That's his goddamn motivation, fam. Ben and Aaron, you don't make the money he makes for talking about this. And you're facilitating his fucking ability to perpetuate this bullshit. So am I. But at least I'm trying. My motivation is to show you, fam, that this isn't Jimmy versus AOC, and if you don't like one, then it's you hate healthcare. It's Jimmy. Jimmy is a grifter, and he's got a bunch of people now fucking squawking on his grift. Because I don't know. I think a lot of people aren't willing to accept that he's a dishonest piece of shit who only cares about his pocket, yo, and his $2 million fucking house.
In the middle of a fucking pandemic to get healthcare to people. That's exactly what this is. AOC is not grassroots. She's the one who goes to fucking bullshit intercept, and so they could run interference for her. Jesus Christ!
What does that mean?
We're the movement. She is.
Oh,
not
you're the movement.
And people again. So just how people were behind.
How are you a movement, Jimmy? How are you a movement, dude? Why? Because people are picking a side on this? It's only because we put too much emphasis in this goddamn culture for how many fucking followers and subs you got. Like, Jimmy is only here because he's got a lot of fucking subs. It's the only reason we're considering any of his shit. It's stupid. It's a stupid, not thought out position. Not because I don't like Jimmy. I don't. I used to. Till he went off the fucking rails. And made his project all about what he found is that, look, man, there's no leftists out there being critical of AOC and the squad. It's a wide open market. He's the only one who's filled it. And it's paying off fucking big time. He doesn't give a fucking shit about whether you get healthcare. At least not as much as he cares about the fucking money he gets per video. He's grassroots. This living in a $2 million mansion motherfucker is the grassroots. This butts up against being AstroTurf, fam. This is a millionaire telling poor people how to get health care. And calling it a campaign. Calling it grassroots. I remember billionaires telling people how to organize as grassroots. It's called the Koch brothers. Go look at Jimmy's fucking comment section, yo. This is one of the things I noticed like 2 years ago. It's deep with Nazis. There's hardcore fucking misogyny and bigotry going on in the comment section on Jimmy Dore videos. Because he's a progressive shitting on the only real progressives in Congress. And the right wing's just like, fuck yeah, because it buys into the right-wing framing that, true traditional liberals, true liberals would be on our side and wouldn't buy into this fake blah, blah, blah of the squad. Jimmy fucking, his whole fucking project totally fits in that lane very nicely. Don't believe me? Look at how many subs he's got. Look how many fucking clicks he's getting. Look at the money he's making. This dude who's never read a fucking full book in his life. This dude whose predictions in the past about elections have been fucking deeply fucking wrong. But he wants to call him running his mouth with a shit hot take and then insulting anyone who doesn't agree with him grassroots. If you want to be grassroots, you have to listen to criticism. It's a big part of what grassroots organizing is built around, is having those conversations and determining whose position on every specific thing is actually accurate. It's why it's tedious and takes a long time, because that's not a fun process hearing you're wrong. But the second you get in one of those rooms with the rickety chairs and start working on some shit and then start calling people evil and liars because they disagree with you, you're out of the room, yo. That's not grassroots. That's blowhard fucking high-paid bullshit. Fuck Jimmy, man.
Upset about Bernie Sanders. People are going to be a couple of months behind at being upset at AOC because they haven't done a fucking thing they've said they were going to do when they ran. She ran literally on Medicare for All, saying we don't have to wait 100 years. We can have this now. It only takes courage. And we have to agitate. She goes, we have to cause a ruckus and we have to make them uncomfortable. Well, that's what I'm doing. I'm making AOC and the squad uncomfortable, and everyone's coming at me.
Oh, I see. So what you take that to mean that when she said we have to make the establishment uncomfortable, you want to go make the people who said that uncomfortable. Fuck you, Jimmy. How are you not a Nazi, dude? How is that not some fascist bullshit? No, it hasn't paid off. What AOC set out to do has not paid off yet. It may not. But attacking her is not how you do it, yo. You're distracting her and the others from going forward and getting something done. All because you don't want to listen to the criticisms of your bullshit take, Jimmy. Now, hopefully after he finishes this little bullshit rant of fucking misframing and lies and feels sorry for himself bullshit because he said some shit that everyone didn't just universally agree with, hopefully Ben Norton and Aaron Maté will give him a little bit of pushback somehow, or get him to maybe, I don't know, describe in better detail what, his plan is and why it works and why her plan is wrong, and explain why her response to what he actually said is wrong. Instead, they're just sitting here going, yeah, Jimmy. I mean, a journalist would be asking really hard-hitting questions of this dude right now. Not to be against him, whether they support him or against him doesn't matter. They should be asking him a lot of questions. And when you accuse someone of lying or dishonesty, man, you need to back that shit with some real stuff, and he hasn't at all. It's that they disagree with him and that Medicare for All doesn't exist yet. So that makes AOC and everything she does lies. But it makes him right. No. Again, this is about he had a hot take. She came back and said why it won't work, and he has lost his fucking mind, making thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars dissing on her ever since. And I disrespect anyone that facilitates his ability to do that.
Because I'm yelling in my garage at politicians to pass Medicare for All. And I need to tell people, webcam doesn't have feelings. I'm yelling into a webcam in my garage. I'm not at AOC's office in her face or at her house. I'm in my garage. Webcams do not have feelings. And this is all about tone policing in the middle of a fucking pandemic where the government is failing on purpose.
It's not about tone policing at all. No one cares if you cuss or say things in a vulgar or loud, or nobody cares about the way you're saying anything, Jimmy. No one has even criticized you of that. That's an absolute 100% straw man. Your take was considered, examined on its merits, and found left wanting. And it was clearly articulated why in a respectful and factual manner. No one attacked you. No one attacked you personally. No one said you're dumb for caring. No one ever questioned your sincerity for Medicare for All. They just said, Jimmy, we considered what you said. Here's why we think it's wrong. And you have done nothing but cast aspersions on the personal integrity of anyone who disagrees with you ever since. And again, I just have to push back. Why is Aaron Maté and Ben Norton not calling him on this shit? They're facilitating his ability to lie and play some fucking victim. Nobody tone policed Jimmy at all, anywhere. There is no tweet, there is no video of anyone with the power that he's railing against that came to him and said, Jimmy, you cussed too much, so we won't listen to you. No, Jimmy, you yelled too loud, so we won't do your plan. Nope. They considered it and found it fucking to be bullshit. And respectfully explained why they disagreed. So you're lying, Jimmy. And I disrespect Aaron Maté and Ben Norton for letting him come on and do that.
Will they not give you a stimulus? They won't give you health care in the middle of a deadly pandemic. And I'm supposed to be nicer about it. I'm just doing exactly what AOC said to do. Agitate, cause a ruckus, make people uncomfortable.
Yeah, but not the people on your side that are supposed to be trying to achieve the same thing as you. You don't make it a ruckus for them. You don't make it difficult for them, Jimmy. The only other people in Congress right now that want Medicare for All are the squad, and you're telling the whole world that deep down they truly don't, and they're lying. And so what does that leave us with, Jimmy? Because the people not in the squad definitely don't want Medicare for all. They're open about it, the vast majority of them. There's a handful of fucking Democrats that say they're open for it, but the only people like looking to actually maneuver and make deals and backroom fucking handshakes and ass kisses to get M4A is the squad. Again, I find fault in that methodology of achieving goals of emancipation for poor people, but I don't question the sincerity of those trying to employ those methods. And Jimmy knows that they ain't full of shit, but this is his game. He wouldn't have been on fucking the Grayzone today had it not been for this, fam. There was no way they would have had him on if this wasn't trending on Twitter and shit. And here he comes, and he says on the Grayzone, the bastion of to the left of center fucking journalism in America, that AOC doesn't like his plan because she doesn't like the way he said it. It's fucking bullshit. On its surface, bald-faced fucking lie bullshit. And Aaron Mate and Ben Norton should know that.
And that's what I'm doing.
And it's interesting, when she first responded to questions about this, I believe her first response actually came to the football player, Justin Jackson, on Twitter. And one of the things she said was we can use our leverage for other things. And one of the first things she mentioned was a $15 minimum wage, which of course everybody supports. The problem is, and you pointed this out pretty quickly, is that Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi are already on record supporting a $15 minimum wage.
Right.
So, it's not
so
like,
what we need to do, if you want that to happen, is to stay on their ass to make sure that they fucking do it. Them being on record doesn't mean it's going to happen. And them being on record shows that there's an actual chance that that could happen right now. No one's on record being in support of M4A that, like, you know, on those upper echelons of power. You're not going to get them to get on board right now with it because you don't have the fucking numbers in the House or the Senate to force them to support it. There are numbers in the House and the Senate enough to get people like Biden and others to jump on and say, okay, yeah, we'll support $15 an hour minimum wage. So that's what AOC is saying. We should put our efforts into that because it can actually happen. But I'll guarantee you this, if they don't put a lot of effort into it, it will never happen. Joe Biden is not just going to walk in there on his own and go, you know what I decided to do today? $15 an hour. Nuh-uh. Nuh-uh. When the grassroots progressives fucking bring it to a vote in the House and get it to pass and then get it to the Senate and work it through the Senate, then we know Biden won't veto it. That's a lot of work to get it there. And what AOC is saying is M4A doesn't even have that support. So why expend and waste the effort? And Aaron Mate, using her fucking explanation as a way to somehow to spin it to bolster Jimmy Dore's bullshit and lies. Because what Aaron Mate did is he just basically gave agreement to Jimmy saying that AOC was doing tone policing on Jimmy Dore. So if AOC was doing let's back it up a little bit, and I'll choose my words a little more fluidly. Jimmy Dore just got done explaining dishonestly that AOC and others attacked him as tone police. They attacked his tone and his delivery. That's not true. That did not happen. She came back and said, we don't believe that this will accomplish anything, and we think that our efforts would be better suited towards $15 an hour. That's just a logical conclusion for based on what I just described. And you can disagree with it or disagree with it or not, whatever. But he used that as an example to go, yeah, you're right, Jimmy. You're right that she didn't like your tone. She even came back and said, nah, she didn't like your tone, and she obviously isn't serious because she didn't even come back with a plan for M4A. She came back with, we should push for $15 an hour. You're right, Jimmy. When Jimmy is not right. A proper fucking journalistic response would, first of all, have been, I'm sorry, Jimmy, can you give me an example of where she actually attacked you for your tone or your language or your delivery? Did Aaron Mate do that? No. He allowed Jimmy to lie and then bolstered the lie with this disassociated take on her position towards $15 an hour. It's like, do you understand basic civics, Mate? Do you? Because what AOC said is not a controversial take. It's not even about liberal or conservative or bias. It's the mechanics of things.
You need much leverage to get Biden and Pelosi to support a policy that they're already on record supporting, whereas they're not on record supporting Medicare for all, and that's why you need to use your leverage to push them on that. It's interesting. She stopped.
Yeah, the way you do that is not by fucking forcing a vote in Congress. You do that by getting more and more people on board with M4A, and then you make it so that he has to fucking go for it because everybody's is for it, and then it looks like he's the only one who is against it, and he looks out of step. Again, very long, tedious, difficult process that doesn't guarantee a payoff at the end. Hence why I'd rather have a revolution, fam.
Yeah. Here, so in this Intercept interview, she didn't mention it, and I haven't seen her mention it since. But what she has also said, and I'm curious your response to this, is that because this will definitely die, a Medicare for all vote would definitely die in the Senate. She's saying that House members could disingenuously vote for it, and that would undermine the overall broader fight for Medicare for all in the future, because that would then reduce the pressure on them somehow down the line. So basically, somehow getting more support for Medicare for all could undermine the broader struggle.
I'm going to start calling her Cocktail because she twists herself into a cocktail pretzel, coming up with these bullshit excuses.
Yeah, fuck you, man. Okay, first of all, you call her Cocktail when you got the right wing out here all the time constantly dissing her for being a bartender. Fuck you, Jimmy. And she didn't twist herself in a pretzel. That makes logical fucking sense, Aaron Mate. You know, dude, go take a 101 civics class, Aaron Mate. Understand how fucking Congress works, yo. And then maybe you might want to revisit your fucking first journalist class and maybe ask one probing question of Jimmy rather than lobbing him up and setting him up constantly. She did not talk herself into a pretzel. That's absolutely right that people would manipulate it. And ultimately, you're not going to get the vote. Aaron Mate, explain to me specifically, point for point, how you're going to get the support in Congress to win this vote. Are you going to do it? Oh, you think that these people, that support M4A aren't lobbying other politicians and stuff to get behind it? They are. It's not getting anywhere. It doesn't have legs yet. The wealthy ruling class the capitalist imperialist ruling class bosses are far too opposed to it. They don't got a problem with throwing us $15 an hour. They'll fight it like a motherfucker and then act like when they throw us that scrap that we somehow got some big fucking win and payoff. $15 an hour can actually, in the end, even though I'm totally in support of $15 an hour. It'd make my life significantly better. No shit. I'm into it. But giving us that will in no way whatsoever demand or require anything of the capitalist ruling class, and it definitely won't put their power in question. Universal health care once it's effective, can cause us to fundamentally question other cornerstone foundations of our society. Because if this can work, why aren't we applying this same methodology to other things? The capitalist ruling classes are totally threatened by M4A. And if you want to talk about, hey, it could win over support, so you better, why won't AOC try? Because maybe if she tried, maybe she could get the support. Not good enough, Mate. Maybe doesn't cut it. Especially when there's a pretty good argument to be made for you won't get those numbers. They've outlined an articulate argument for why they won't, and you've outlined how maybe you will. And that's it. There's a difference.
That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Fighting for something will set you back. fuck off. I want to vote on Medicare for all right now on the floor, and I want to see the Senate. If the Senate votes against Medicare for all in the middle of a pandemic when 15 million people just lost their health care, on top of the 30 million who already didn't have,
what's going to happen?
80 million who are
What will happen if they do that?
When they do that in the middle of a pandemic, and 19 million people are getting kicked out of their fucking
what's going to
houses,
happen?
That will be the George Floyd moment for some social unrest that is much needed in this
No,
country.
it won't.
We need to storm walk.
Bullshit, Jimmy. Bullshit. You don't know that. You don't know that, and you can't prove it. And it will not be a George Floyd moment. And you know what? Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you for comparing it to that. Metaphorically, not having M4A causes a lot, means, you know, the establishment kills us or whatever. But a cop stuck his fucking knee on George Floyd's neck and murdered him. And we saw video of it. You do a disservice to the memory of George Floyd by acting like, what? You know, Jimmy, that this whole nation is going to rise up if that vote doesn't fucking go through? Congress has, what, an 18% approval rating? People know it's corrupt and shitty and they don't care about us, Jimmy. You're not going to have video of fucking Nancy Pelosi stepping on AOC's neck and murdering her to stop M4A. That might actually cause an uprising. But a no vote, you know what America would do is go, knew it. Knew it. And you know what else they'll do? They'll go, this is why I don't vote, and this is why I don't pay attention to bourgeois politics. And they'll go back to watching whatever they watched on TV, you know, prior to all this shit. And they will lose. They'll go, you know what? Why do I even give a shit about M4A? I'm never going to get it. But Jimmy wants to vote now. He wants it now. And he has not articulated a specific reason why it would be effective. It's all this, like, bolsterous fucking speculation. The whole world is good. The whole country's going to rise up like George Floyd because of a no vote in Congress. What fucking America did you fucking grow up in, Jimmy? No votes in Congress for things we care about just discourage people and knock out their fucking, causes them to give up. This is another reason why us on the left, communists, anarchists, socialists, why we caution against getting too caught up in bourgeois electoral processes, in legislative processes. Because sometimes in the end, you put in years of very, very hard work that involves thousands and thousands of people putting in exhaustive, countless hours of real grassroots effort. And it finally gets up there and it doesn't happen, man. Makes people feel like, man, maybe I shouldn't even put in the year's worth of grassroots efforts. Not always. Sometimes we gut things. Sometimes it works. It's rare, but sometimes it does. This is why I'm not so quick to too harshly judge people that get caught up in those processes, because I can see it's demonstrable that they give a shit, and that maybe for whatever reason they just don't understand that there's a better way, which is revolution and undoing capitalism completely.
Washington D.C. need to scare the fuck out of people. You know, if you read, it was.
You want to scare the fuck out of people, Jimmy? You want to scare the fuck out of people? Get out and organize in the street. Join a fucking revolutionary fucking anti-capitalist organization, Jimmy. Put your fucking weight behind their efforts. And let's build a real fucking grassroots efforts, man. Use your platform and your mic, yo, to bolster fucking trans rights activists and Black Lives Matter activists. And let's really go after the establishment. Start fucking platforming some cop watchers, Jimmy. Nah, you're going to talk shit on AOC and then call that a grassroots effort. Talking shit on a politician is not grassroots, dude. It's just another fucking butthole with an opinion, dude.
What was it? Chris Hedges told the story on my show about when they were coming for Nixon, they were protesting, and they had set up around the White House these school buses. And he says, "What are those for?" And he was with Kissinger. He goes, "That's in case they break through the fences. Those will slow them down." And he said, He said to Kissinger, Henry, I'm afraid if they get through there, they'll come for us and kill us. That's where they should be. That's how afraid they should be of us.
They
That's
should.
why, and
they should absolutely be that afraid of us, Jimmy. But calling AOC a liar isn't going to scare them. In fact, they're going to go, oh my God, you rule, Jimmy. Thank you. We couldn't have asked for a better gift. We in the establishment, the DNC establishment and the Republican establishment, fucking hate the squad. Oh gosh, they just sat around and be like, oh my God, if we could only have someone who's like, has a long history of established progressive voice, maybe, God, if they had worked at the Young Turks. And we're not going to, that we don't position as having left the left, but, you know, went to the right, like the lie with, you know, the grift of Dave Rubin. But someone who establishes and stays a quote-unquote progressive, and if we can get a progressive, an established, long-respected progressive to talk shit on the squad, holy shit, they're doing fucking dancing in the mansion, yeah. God, more and more I'm starting to think Ben Dixon might be right, and Jimmy Dore might be a fucking cop, yo.
Nixon gave us the EPA. He gave us OSHA. Right? He gave us the Clean Water Act, Clean Air. What the most we can't get that shit from Joe Biden 50 years later. So the point is, we got to exactly what AOC said. We got to cause a ruckus.
Okay, we can't get that shit from Joe Biden years later, but AOC, if she would, you know, just agree with him about this vote, Biden would give us that. You just contradicted yourself, Jimmy. You just talked about how you can't get Biden to do anything, but if AOC would just do this vote, we would get Biden to do this thing. Which one is it, yo? Come on, man. Come on, man. This is easy stuff. Why is Aaron Maté and Ben Norton not questioning him? Why are they not raising 1/10 of the fucking issues I am?
People scared. I've had other independent news people say, "Well, Jimmy, you know, I think you could get people to your way of thinking by persuasion, not by." I go, I'm not trying to make friends. I'm talking to public servants, fucking politicians.
Okay, and, yeah. And check it out. And fuck those people who say that shit to him. I don't give a fuck. You can come to me and like, seriously. I won't like it, but you can come to me, Aaron, fuck you. You're the hugest fucking piece of shit. I hate everything about you. Your hair is stupid. Your clothes are stupid. Your set is shit. Your cat is lame. I fucking hate you. But check it out. It's 12:30 right now. If it's 12:30, I'm going to believe you. I'm not going to be like, you're a jerk. You're a jerk to me. So it's 12:45. Okay, I'm all about fucking being blunt about my shit. I think that's pretty clear. I piss off people that I care about and that care about me because I'm like, nah, fuck that. Here's why you're fucking wrong. And because I do that, I have to understand that I have to take it too, whether I like it or not. And I do. I don't like it when people are blunt and rude and shitty to me, but if they're correct in the thing they're espousing, I will not deny it. And I will tell them that. I will say shit like, look, your tone policing was fucking bullshit, but you're right. Thank you. I've said shit like that to people before. Jimmy can't do it. And no one even tone policed his ass. Fucking douche. Maybe ask one hard-hitting question, Maté, Ben, instead of just laughing at him and agreeing with him. You know, ask him one fucking, probe him. Push back a little bit. Journalists, get to the root of this story. Did they did they judge, you know, disparage him for tone, you know, did they tone police him? Hardest time saying that. Did they tone police him? No. These guys are all head and shoulders above the fray. This is why I don't like the fucking Grayzone people. They're above all this. They're above the AOC and the squad. They're the only true journalists in America, which might even be true, yo. But I think whether it is or not, they believe it. And they've bought into that hype. And they're not doing a proper journalistic interview right now. Even if you're totally on board with Jimmy, ask him the devil's advocate questions at least. Are they doing that? No. They're letting him run his mouth and lie repeatedly and cast aspersions on the integrity and honesty of someone who has done nothing but fucking really try to help people. However misguided or ineffective she may or may not be, that's all she's done is try. But she's the most evil thing and the greatest block to us. And Jimmy's telling us that we need to be shitty to her and make her nervous and create chaos for her because that's holding them accountable. Bullshit. It's the Republican establishment that are beholden to the capitalist and the Democratic establishment that are beholden to the capitalist ruling class bosses that deserve that. Because they have never tried for us and we need to disrupt their comfortable little fucking club. God damn it. If anything, one could argue, however, whether she gets policy or the squad gets policy enacted or not, they definitely have made the establishment club uncomfortable. Jimmy's not. Jimmy likes this. I mean, Jimmy's not making the establishment club uncomfortable. They like what Jimmy's doing because he's attacking the small handful of people that are making their lives mildly difficult. The only people even approaching making the life of the establishment difficult is the squad. And Jimmy's out here attacking them from a so-called progressive position. And he's got a $2 million house. It's a lot of right-wingers that donate to Jimmy. Some of them might even be cops. I don't know, though.
To them? You think nice in your way? How fucking Canadian can you be?
Well, I'm Canadian, so maybe that's why.
You're way too nice.
Well, I know you think that. But I don't think you've ever said that everybody has to adopt your approach. You just want everyone to adopt your policy.
That's right.
So what do you...
Okay. His approach is his policy. No one criticized him on Tone Police. That's wrong, Aaron. What are you doing, dude? What are you doing, Mate? You just said nobody... Wow, man. If the policy's so fucking good, articulate why it'll work. Let me hear how it'll work. I haven't heard that yet. Other than do it and it'll show that everybody that people are corrupt. And we'll have a massive uprising. How does that get us Medicare for all? There won't be an uprising and it won't result in Medicare for all. God, it's like, have any of these three people been paying attention to politics at all in America ever? Ever? Making a bunch of noise and yelling at people and, driving a fucking steamroller through them isn't going to convince them to support your bullshit fucking proposal, Jimmy. Now is not the time for that vote. I'd be happy to jump on your team, Jimmy, and I would have no problem pointing out that AOC lied if Jimmy was right and she had lied. I don't care. Fuck all these people in the end. If they fucking full of shit and they're dishonest, I'm done. Like, I don't have loyalties or allegiances to anyone in the squad. Why would I? I mean, I have a base level of respect for them for what they want to do. I just don't think they're going to be able to pull it off. So, and I say that because I need you to know that this isn't like, oh, I'm upset because they dissed people I really like or whatever. It's just he's wrong. And then he goes over the top and talks shit and like casts aspersions on this fucking a Latina woman, man. What the fuck, yo? $2 million house, white boy.
Think about the fact that there's been so much time has been spent talking about you personally and your tone. Like, what do you think that's about?
That's because they don't want to talk about the issue. That's what that's about.
Bullshit.
And,
Bullshit. Everybody talked about the issue, Jimmy. Everybody talked about the issue right off the bat. The only reason he's got legs is because you got responded. Well, they didn't respond to Jimmy. They responded to someone pushing Jimmy's thing. But that's why The only reason you're able to make a bunch of videos is because they did take it seriously and they did respond, and you got an articulate, clearly defined fucking and laid out fucking response to it. And you have done nothing but talk massive ganks of shit ever since and cry about tone policing that never happened. You are trying to act like they didn't tear your fucking proposal apart point for point. You want to act like they didn't like the way you said it. That didn't happen. That's an imaginary fantasy thing that didn't exist, Jimmy. And you've made a bunch of fucking vulgar shit and you've said a bunch of nasty ass fucking inappropriate shit since then that people are now calling you out on. But they're not saying, hey, we don't like the original policy because you said this. They're like, here's why your policy is wrong. Oh, and the things that you have said about these other people personally is really shitty, Jimmy. God, this is about basic fucking human respect and shit, yo. And fuck Mate for setting up that question like that. What is this? What is this? Jimmy's not even saying you'll get. His end result isn't even M4A. It's a mass revolt in the street bigger than the Floyd uprisings. He doesn't know what that is. People will never flood out into the streets like they did after George Floyd for Medicare for All. They will never flood into the streets for a vote in Congress. That is never going to happen. It's never happened. They want the cops to stop murdering people. It's not as immediate as I want health care. We all deserve it. We all need it. It's stupid that every single person on the planet doesn't have full access to every type of healthcare they need. It's ridiculous. We have the resources and the technology to do it. Capitalist ruling class bosses don't want it. And nobody here discounted your take, Jimmy, based on the way you presented it. They later criticized you, and I criticized you for the fucking disgusting things you say about people as you're lying on them and misframing their position and rewriting the history of this grift, of your latest grift.
Some people who have been on the left for years are upset that a pothead comedian in his garage came back and created a moment that they couldn't create for fucking 25 years.
That's bullshit. That is so bullshit. Nobody is fucking jealous of you, Jimmy, you fucking douchebag. How far up your own fucking ass are you, dude? Nobody's jealous that you did this. They disagree with you and explained why it didn't work, and then you've acted like an asshole ever since. No one's going, oh man, I wish I would have done it. If you came up with something that would have got us Medicare for all, they would have done it, Jimmy. And you know that's true. That's why you have to lie on AOC and act like she's got some other fucking nefarious thing that she truly doesn't want M4A. How fucking dare you, you scumfuck? If you want to say she's lying, you need to prove it unequivocally, yo. That's a deep, harsh accusation, Jimmy, and you got to come fucking correct on that. And you haven't even fucking approached a justification for that fucking accusation. She didn't tone police you. She responded to someone else respectfully on a position you articulated, and she explained why it wouldn't work. And none of you have done a good job of explaining why she's wrong. Instead, you accuse her of being a liar, evil, tone policing, that she's nefarious and literally doesn't want Medicare for all to happen, so she's out here doing things to see to it doesn't. How disgusting are you, Jimmy, for positing those fucking positions? There's no fucking truth to any of them, and you know it. You know it. That's why you're the same as the right now, Jimmy. Because they lie because it's profitable. But you're dangerous to the left because a lot of people actually think you're a progressive, dude. as opposed to some fucking grifting petite bourgeois piece of fucking shit, yo. Choke on your fucking $1 million mansion, you piece of shit. Grassroots, my fucking ass.
Because they want credit, because they have egos. They have fevered egos that get bruised. That's
Talk about fevered ego that got bruised. Look at that. You see that right there, fam? That right there? That's a fevered ego that got bruised. And he's attacking a fucking woman of color for a couple weeks now because of it. Because his fucking honky ass was wrong on some shit. And he can't fucking handle it.
It's fucking right out there on Twitter. It's right out there in the
Yes, it is. It's right out there on Twitter, Jimmy.
About it. People are writing articles about this moment without mentioning me. That's how fucking tiny of a people they are. So that's kind of amazing. And
yeah,
so, and there's people
how tiny are you?
Every which way, saying, "Oh, it's easy to do what YouTube ran and do this." Really? Then why the fuck didn't you do it a long time ago? Okay, it's just.
Who are you talking about?
It's just people. I call a spade a spade. I'm not looking for a job in journalism. I'm not looking for a job in Hollywood. They can't fire me. They can't control me, and I can create a fucking.
You don't need a job, yo. You don't need a job. Your job is to be a supposed fucking leftist talking shit on leftists, and you get paid really fucking good for it, Jimmy.
Drives them fucking crazy.
I think that's what they resent, that you can't be controlled. And I also think they resent, I don't think
that's what they resent, that he can't be controlled, Mate. Fuck you, man. Fuck you, you hack. Fuck you, you fake ass journalist. Nobody resents Jimmy for anything, dude. Nobody's fucking scared of Jimmy. They're mad because he's loudly saying some bullshit that won't work and confusing the fucking shit. No one took him seriously. Some athlete did, and then AOC responded to it. Now everybody's losing their fucking mind. And here's the thing, man. They're not leftists. This is not journalism. This is not leftism. This isn't even remotely close to socialism. This is all bullshit, fucking egos and grifting. You want to watch the Grayzone? Cool. We can even be friends. I don't care. Like, people are allowed to get their information wherever they want. They're allowed to watch whatever they want. I don't give a shit. But know what you're watching. I'm disgusted by Jimmy. Like, deeply disgusted by what he's doing. And there's like 30 more minutes in this interview. I don't know that I can go all the way through it. We're already an hour and 16 minutes into this. I mean, I'm not going through 40 minutes of this fucking video. I've given them 10 minutes of this conversation that we've been through, that I talked with Jimmy, to push back even once, even a little bit. We'll go through a little bit more, and I'll give them a little more chance to do it. But it doesn't look like it's going that way. And this is just them being able to sit at home and go, we're above the fray, we're better than everybody. And when they don't get Medicare for all, when it doesn't happen, these motherfuckers going to be like, see, told ya. If you'd have done our dumbass thing, it would have happened. No, it wouldn't have. No, it wouldn't have. This is all shit we shouldn't be talking about, fam. The reason the reason I like talking about it, though, is because I want people to see the difference between people who really give a shit about what happens in politics and people who just get paid to click these on. My understanding is people like Ben Norton and Aaron Mate actually do journalistic work. They research sources. They write actual stories. Like journalistic integrity, 3 sources for every contention, right? For every assertion. Like, I believe they follow that methodology and can do really good work. But what they're doing right now is bolstering a lying ass fucking grifting hack. Shoddy fucking work at best.
This issue, or about the fact that you're angry at AOC, who a lot of them identify with. And
I started off. Can I just break in, Aaron? This all started with me going after Mark Pocan.
I remember, yeah.
He's the co-chair of the Progressive Caucus. So I put this message out there, and Mark Pocan was on the Tom Hartman show. And so they take calls, and a caller brought this issue up. And then Mark Pocan tried to dismiss it disingenuously, gaslighting and lying about it. He tried to make every
Did he gaslight you? There's another thing.
So Jimmy
does not. He doesn't know what fucking gaslighting means. He just anybody who says anything that's not honest, it's gaslighting. It's bullshit, Jimmy, and you need to stop. That alone is why you should never, ever, ever listen to Jimmy. The way he misframes what gaslighting means is fucking gross. Especially to people who have been gaslit their whole lives. Gaslighting is when you fucking ignore a person's position and cause them to question their own sanity. Lying is not doing that. Lying and then disagreeing is not gaslighting, Jimmy. Gaslighting is one of the most abusive and fucking destructive things you can do to another human being. You gotta be really fucking careful when you accuse people of gaslighting. Now, I've been criticized for accusing Ben Burgess of gaslighting me in a specific situation, and I stand by that he did. It was more subtle, but in the end, if you go back and look at the video, it's Fake Ass Leftists is the name of the video. If you go back and you look, he said that if I disagreed, I had half a brain. That's calling into question my ability to think and to think and to function and my sanity. Disagreeing with Jimmy is not gaslighting Jimmy, even if they did lie. And I'm going to venture to say, because I haven't seen the interview or the video or whatever it is he's talking about, that the person did not lie and most assuredly did not gaslight Jimmy. No one tried to make Jimmy feel insane so that he would no longer question it. That's never happened to Jimmy, not through this process. But he keeps saying that shit about gaslighting.
And put it at Mark Pocan. And the reason why this all shifted from him to AOC is because AOC responded publicly. She's the only one willing to respond publicly, and this is obviously coordinated. They're doing it so they can exactly do this thing. They can make Jimmy Dore look like he's being a meanie to a...
Wow, that is some paranoid. It's all coordinated so they all got together. They all got together. AOC and others and this athlete and this other radio show people to make Jimmy look bad. Are you fucking kidding me? Don't ever, anyone who takes Jimmy Dore seriously after this, I question your fucking ability to think properly. They got together and conspired to make Jimmy look bad? Are you fucking kidding me? All that happened is AOC gave a clear, cogent response to a tweet. There was nothing hyperbolic. There was nothing snarky in it. It was just very matter of fact and to the point, and that's it. But now Jimmy's got it, that they got together to make him look stupid. A thing he is abundantly fucking well at excelling at all by himself. Because he is fucking stupid. And his take was fucking stupid. And he doesn't care whether there's a vote in Congress or not, because he's getting thousands of bucks a video. They're all conspiring. What paranoid QAnon fucking level bullshit is that? And Aaron Mate and Ben Norton should be like, oh, okay, Jamie. Maybe they don't like you and maybe they tone policed you when they didn't. But they're conspiring. They got together and purposely made an effort to make you look stupid? Come on. Let's see. Maybe Aaron Mate will push back on that. Maybe he will call him on that ridiculously paranoid, nonsensical fucking bullshit. We'll see.
Girl. She's a fucking elected representative. She's one of the most powerful people in the fucking world, you asswipes. You know, Ro Khanna's got the guts to come on my show, and he says, Jimmy, I'm part of the 0.001%. I'm one of the most powerful people in the world. If I can't face a question from a comedian, I shouldn't be in this job. And he comes on my show all the fucking time. And that...
Yeah, they faced your question, Jimmy. So you're strawmanning again. And just because they're one of the most powerful people in the world doesn't mean they have the power to make people vote for M4A. And when they don't vote, it's not going to be a revelation for anybody. Everybody already knows that the Leadership in Congress is all corrupt, Republican and Democrat, and they are not going to take to the streets in mass revolt like they did for George Floyd. That is ridiculous bullshit, and like I said earlier, a massive disrespect to even think that to George Floyd and his family. And to everyone that lost a loved one to a cop, that went out in support of the uprisings in the wake of what happened in the wake of George Floyd's murder. You disrespect all those people that came out and expressed that deep, deep, deep trauma and pain that they manifested in the wake of the murder of George Floyd, because they've lost loved ones. They've lost their children, their brothers, their mothers, their cousins, so on. Yet another example of Congress not doing something will not create an uprising, you fucking asshole.
That's exactly right. I'm fucking pressuring as hard as I am, raking over the coals politicians when they don't follow through on what they said they were going to do in the middle of a fucking pandemic.
No, you're not, dude. No, you're not. No, you're not. You came up with an idea that was shit. They told you why it won't work very specifically, and you've done nothing but attack one person personally ever since. That's not raking over the coals. That's not holding people's feet to the fire. That's you running your fucking mouth on a microphone and getting paid a lot of money to do it. It's all your faux outrage. You love this, Jimmy. You've never made this much money in your life. You are loving this. And you make me sick.
Rake them over the coals.
And I think, part of this is there's certain, I think, people in the media who really look up to AOC, and I get why. I think there is a lot that's impressive and a lot to admire, although I don't agree with her positions on many things. But it's not just, I think, wanting that kind of access and that friendship. It's also, I think I think there's a feeling. This is just my, this is just my view, that if they legitimize this, then they're legitimizing other aspects where Jimmy Dore has been very strong on. So you.
Oh, bullshit! No. That is absolute dog shit, Mate. They're not doing this because they don't want Jimmy Dore to be able to have a good idea again. Oh, we better not do this because then people will, listen to Jimmy Dore and he might come up with another good idea someday. Fuck off, Mate. Fuck off. What part of your ass did you fucking harvest that out of? Literally, I'll guarantee it. I'll give my record collection to the person who shows me proof that anyone ever fucking got down and said, you know what, let's not do this thing that Jimmy suggested because then people will like Jimmy, and if he has a good idea in the future, people will support it. What bullshit. If it was a good idea, they would have supported it. And then they would have been like, yo, Jimmy Dore had this great idea. You should listen to him. He might have another one. That's how that would go, Mate, and you fucking know it. Come on. They just wanted to make sure they shot down a supposed fucking chance of us getting Medicare for all because they don't want people to listen and like Jimmy Dore. Fuck you, man. Fuck you, Aaron Mate. You fucking hack. Never will I refer to you as a journalist again. Never. Everything I said earlier in the video, fuck off. You have dick for integrity. Dick. Up here fucking bolstering Jimmy in this grift. Fuck you. We're just about done. We're at 17. If we make it to 20 minutes, I'll be surprised because I think I fucking made my point. You can agree with me or disagree with me all you want. But what the fuck did we just watch? Jimmy did not at any point articulate anything cogent, anything specific. It's all this broad, then all this huge thing will happen. This and then blah, 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 blah. Well, explain to me. No, he hasn't. And if you go, well, explain to me, then he calls you names, yo. And then Aaron Mate's like, yeah, this other thing about $15 an hour that's totally not related to it. And that too. Right, Jimmy? Yeah, she tone policed you. Remember the response that she gave about $15 an hour being more viable? Two things. Not associated with each other. Two things not related to each other at all, but Mate framed it as a support of Jimmy. We're almost done.
Gate, you push back on imperialism. A lot of these people don't, and they even go along with it.
Well, I used to work at the Young Turks where they slandered Julian Assange. They repeated CIA talking points repeatedly, constantly. You know that. I brought you when I was
constantly.
Oh
yeah, they constantly talked about. Wow, Jimmy. So that's your thing now. So now, because you got a talking point about Julian Assange on the Turks, they're in support of all of it too now, Jimmy? Or maybe it's just you got fired for being a dumb motherfucker over there and you're bitter. Maybe that's it, Jimmy. I mean, I ain't trying to defend I don't even know what their take on Julian Assange is. As far as I know, they want all the charges dropped. I don't know what Jimmy's talking about, and I don't fucking care. Because what he's done is he's found a one specific little niche thing that he can now say, yeah, this is why the Young Turks are wrong about everything they say about me. Julian Assange, remember the Julian Assange? Like, so what? AOC and the Young Turks are now the fucking evil lying establishment? All because Jimmy had a hot take that the vast majority of people just went, no, we're not going to do that. Even if he's right, it doesn't make everybody these evil fucking things, man. Doesn't make it all the stuff that Jimmy wants to make it out to be. But if he doesn't make it out to be, he won't continue to get thousands of dollars and hundreds of thousands of views on each video. This is why I don't like bourgeois electoral policies and politics, fam. Because it breeds this kind of garbage. We're all sitting around talking about Jimmy's hot take. I mean, this is a massive distraction from any effort to get M4A. Not that I would full-throated and, wholeheartedly jump into that fight anyway, and I've made clear why that is. Even though I, would never, ever, I would make sure to never, let me make clear on this. One thing I would never, ever do, even though I'm not going to put in the effort to totally jump on board the fight for M4A or Green New Deal or that kind of stuff. I'm not going to totally jump on board a fight for concessions from bourgeois electoral legislative processes. But what I won't do is I want to make sure that I'm not an obstacle to that. Like, everyone having Medicare for all, that would be a massive, great concession. And I want to make sure that while I'm fighting for the end of capitalism and to encourage people to join revolutionary anti-capitalist organizations and to get to a point where we can end capitalism, while I'm focused on that, I want to make sure that my project doesn't obstruct their ability to achieve some cool stuff. Like a Green New Deal would be good for the planet. Medicare for all would be good for people. I want those things to happen. So you can criticize me for saying that, I maybe I don't give it the support, and maybe that's a fair argument, but you won't be able to say that I did anything to obstruct it. And if I did, and you pointed it out to me, I would stop that thing. I can envision me unknowingly doing something that could maybe, I'm just one person, like I have any power like that, but for the sake of argument, maybe I'm doing something and I don't know that it's obstructing that effort. And someone came out to me. They don't even have to I would prefer they be nice about it. But they don't even have to be nice. They can be like, hey, dickhead, here's why you're being a shit face and fucking up M4A. If there was validity to it, I'd be like, oh, well, fuck you. You're an asshole, but you're right. You see how this works? Nobody tone polices. At least I don't. And there just wasn't an example of it in this case with Jimmy. And I think I've said enough on this, and we're an hour and a half into this. And we're not even halfway through their interview. We got 18 minutes, so that would be 13 minutes into a conversation that Mate had with Jimmy, and at no point at all did he even approach devil's advocate. Like, okay, Jimmy, well, let's say, okay, she said this. What is your response? It's, oh, no, she even did this, Jimmy. Oh, yeah, Jimmy. And then she even blah, blah. It's almost like they're all like getting together to make you look bad, Jimmy. That's why I'll never respect Aaron Mate again. God, his dad's like borderline brilliant. But I don't know what the fuck that was. Again, that approaches some QAnon conspiracy bullshit. Ain't nobody trying to make Jimmy look like the dumbass he fucking makes himself out to be all by himself. And people just like that he's dissing the squad because, look, man, edgelords, dude. I've seen this in the punk rock scene and shit, all that stuff growing up, man. I'm edgier and I'm more this than you. I'm so fucking progressive, I diss other progressives. That's what I get from Grayzone. We're so fucking edge, man. Man, because look, I get a little exacerbated and frustrated with people who are so glowingly fucking worshipful towards the squad. Like, oh God, that's gross. Like, they're just people, yo. This is not gaslighting. Calm the fuck down with that shit. Young Jank, you're a perfect example of just way over the top fucking emphasis on support of that. Oh my God, I just forgot her name. The woman who was the head of fucking Bernie's campaign. Amazing woman. I can't think of her name, but she's running for Congress now. Jank got on, which would be great. She'd probably she would undoubtedly she would exhaust all of her efforts to do good for people if she gets there. I can't believe I can't think of her name. But Jank said he wouldn't have run if he knew she was gonna run. Like, I don't get that. Because no one person, even if they're fire as fuck, can get into Congress and be the thing that would... Why would you not... I'd be like... I don't get that. That's too much praise for one progressive. I'm an anarchist. I'm not into the fucking elevating people to, positions of power and shit. I want all power to the people. I recognize fucking righteous fire when I see it. But to get to the point where I'd say, the Congress doesn't need me because this one person is running. So that's too worshipful, okay? And what that can do is put people in a position to be like extra edge and be like, watch this. I'll talk shit on AOC. And it makes people who are just lost in their bubble of being overly worshipful of them freak out. And that's kind of fun to watch. I enjoy seeing that. But I don't play that game. I'm not going to position myself as more punk than the next punk. It's like every new punk that comes, not new punk. They've been a punk for a couple years and they're down. Like, they're into it and it's really clear like this is going to, like, they're in for the long haul. At that point, that's when almost universally they all start in on their why Henry Rollins sucks. However you feel about Henry Rollins, this is just I've always found this really fascinating. It's like you've graduated as a senior in punk rock. You're officially punk rock, right? And it's like 9 out of 10 times they go into this why Henry sucks. And what it is because he's so established and well known throughout the world as being sort of synonymous with punk. If they diss him, that somehow makes them look more punk. And I always thought that was a bullshit thing to do. However you feel about Henry, he's a punk. And you can't be more punk. You're either a punk or you're not a punk. And that's some straight up dope right there. Straight up. You can't hang up the lever and quit. You're either a punk or you're not. And once you're in, you're always in. And if you leave it, you kind of never were. That's the way I look at it. It's not degrees and levels of I'm more punk and watch me be edgier and I'll topple the big punk and make myself more punk. To me, that feels like why Mate and enjoys this, because he gets to be more progressive and above the fray of even the squad. Now, that's different. That's not dishonest and nefarious and profit driven like Jimmy is, because that's all Jimmy's doing. All Jimmy's doing is riding this popularity for every dollar he can get. And when the fuck AOC video stop making him money, he'll move on to something else. Now, I may have lost people because of dissing on the Grayzone. I don't give a shit. I'm not here for subs. I'm here because I need an outlet to express my minority fucking revolutionary socialist positions. And I like flash and art and music and stuff. and I've played in bands forever, and I've done graphic design, and I've worked in newsrooms, and I paint and all this stuff. And I just found that doing this YouTube channel, and I've always had deeply held political convictions. And I've studied a lot of it. I have 2 years of community college of taking every single philosophy and political science class available. I need a geography class, a math class, and a Spanish class to get my associate's degree, my liberal arts in poly and philosophy. So I'm not a master of anything by any means, but I'm also not stupid. And I've done some real studying, and I maintained a fat fucking 3.5 GPA. And have since, in the years since, read a lot of socialist, anarchist, and communist history, still read political science stuff. And I care about it. I'm not bragging. I'm telling you, this is just who I am as a person. And making YouTube videos is like the perfect convergence of all these things that are my outlets in life: my music, my painting, my graphic design, my political ideologies. It all comes together here, and this is why I do this. And I feel like because I've studied some of the things I've studied and spent the time studying, I have some information that maybe a lot of people don't have, and it can be helpful to other people. So I like that too. There was a time when I thought maybe that this could ultimately pay off in something, and I could draw paychecks from it. It became increasingly obvious that I don't know how to necessarily do that without having to fucking cater to my audience to keep that money coming in. Because once you've stopped with income coming from other sources, and your only source of income becomes this thing, man, you could lose everything. This is why a lot of conversation industrial complex people freak out about cancel culture, because they've thrown all their eggs into the basket of turning on the mic for the paycheck. And then they made a take that made people go, oh, I don't want to listen to you anymore. And then a shit ton of people stop donating to their fucking Patreons or donating to their live streams, which causes a huge drop in their income, which directly affects their livelihood. It's going to be really hard not to make minor compromises here and there to make sure you retain that audience so you can pay your bills that month. I don't know that I'm above that. Hence, not monetizing my shit right now. Plus, I wouldn't make anywhere near enough at this point to pay any bills. But we get enough views where it could help. Could probably pay for my fucking smoke. But I'm not in it for that. Why are they in it? I don't question Mate's motivation or integrity necessarily, and I think that he'll still continue to do good work that should be respected. I think that he definitely has the potential to continue that. I've attacked Aaron Mate much more than Ben Norton, because Ben Norton didn't say much. But I hold him to account for platforming this fucking scumbag grifter Jimmy and letting him spew all this toxic bullshit on their platform. I hold Ben to that account for that. But the stuff Mate said, that was bullshit. I lost a lot of respect for him watching 15 minutes of that video. And again, not because I don't like Jimmy and he agrees with Jimmy, so I don't like him. I don't feel after watching that I can trust and take for granted that he's done the due diligence to do the research and the study and ask the hard questions before he brings me information. I no longer have any trust that he does that, because he didn't even approach it in this 15-minute conversation so far with Jimmy. And they go on for another half hour. And again, you can go watch it. And if you can show me a clip in that video where Aaron Mate fucking challenge him on any of this, send it to me. Drop it in a fucking comment section on the channel. And I'll eat crow. I got no problem with being wrong. I have seriously no problem with being wrong. I just don't want to be. That's why I got no problem with it. When I realize I am, I'm like, oh, thank you. And I'll move on. Because one thing I'm not wrong about is the broader fucking effectability and scientific fucking viability of revolutionary anarcho-socialism. I might be wrong on specific things here and there, but the larger project makes absolute scientific, even mathematical sense. So I'm not intimidated by being wrong on one thing. Someone like Jimmy can't be wrong on even one thing because that destroys his brand. If he's monumentally wrong, why listen to him anymore? And then how's he going to make hundreds of thousands of dollars off his videos? To afford that $2 million fucking house he got. In the end, there is that thing when your livelihood depends on people paying you to say your opinions. Sometimes they'll stop paying you when you give opinions they don't like. So it becomes very easy to make sure you don't assert opinions that people paying you don't like. I don't want that. I watch the Young Turks a lot, but I don't want to be beholden to my audience the way they are. I have no problem being called out by my audience, but I don't want to cater to you. Sorry. No offense. I really, really love that people watch us and pay attention to our stuff. And dude, someone got on my shit. I've been reading Malatesta essays. Someone got on recently and said they went and bought the volume that I've been reading from so they could read along with me. I could end this project right now because that happened. And I will have won. I'm not even doing it for that. I'm doing it because I need to verbalize and articulate my ideas. And I want it to be something that's cool to look at too, because I have to look at it when I edit and stuff. But I know I sound like I'm rambling, but this gets to motivation, fam. And this is what I care about when I look at, I don't have allegiances to any. That's why like when Jank says stupid ass shit, I don't lose my mind and stop watching him because I expect him to say stupid shit. But a lot of times he says really good shit. And one of the things that I don't question about Cenk Uygur and Anna or John Idarola or even JR is their honesty and integrity. They're wrong on some shit to varying degrees depending on which one you're talking about, but they're very honest, decent people. And that's why I continue to listen to them. Jimmy is dog shit. And I now feel I have good reason to question, at the very least, whether Aaron Mate is honest or not. You see? And that, if I stop watching them, that's not canceled. It's just I just don't watch them. Who cares? You can stop watching me. Okay. You can go watch them or not watch them. But this is, I had someone leave a comment talking about, oh, you're on Ben Dixon's side and not Jimmy Dore's side. I thought this was punk rock. Like, oh, okay. So because I agree with Ben Dixon and not Jimmy Dore, I'm not punk and you won't follow me? That's some Vampire Castle fucking tribal shit. I'm not on anybody's team. I want to find the truth, and I'm looking for ways to emancipate people from capitalism. I'm out here trying to, my life's work is about like trying to figure out ways to end the oppression and suffering that capitalism creates. Because I hate it deeply. I see people I love and care about deeply being deeply hurt by these mechanisms of capitalism. People have paid the highest price. Let's just put it that way. I'm not going to get into detail, but I've lost a lot of people, man, in my life. And a lot of them I can directly trace it to. Had capitalism not been there, they'd be sitting here with me right now. This is real, fam. And a vote in Congress isn't going to make people feel that. Losing a loved one makes you feel that. God, I'm so disgusted that Jimmy tried to act like people would respond to a vote in Congress the way they responded to the murder of Floyd. It's just... massive disrespect. It's not about Medicare for all. It's not about politics. It's not about any of that. It's about where are people coming from, What is their motivation when they click these fucking things on? This is going to be This is my thing. This is my shtick I'm going to be railing on now. The way Jimmy Dore rails on AOC to make money, I'm going to rail on the conversation industrial complex to end its ability to make money. Anyway. Much love to you, fam. I hope you got something out of this. If you love Jimmy Dore and are pissed off and unsubbed me, good. Later. Just caused you to maybe rethink some things or look at things in a different way, that's great too. If it did nothing for you, great. I don't. It's just maddening to me to see a grifter talk shit on decent people and get platformed and make lots of money for it. Like, I've spent the last 5 years calling out fascists for that shit. And bigots and the worst fucking scum on the planet. It's exactly the methodology that the people that we at Punks for Progress have been covering for the last 5 years do. And now I see this quote unquote progressive doing it. So when I see, people like Mate platform this fuckbag, I take issue with Mate in the Grayzone. Oh well. Anyway, much love to you, fam. If you haven't already, please look into joining some type of, anti-capitalist revolutionary, communist, anarchist organization, mutual aid network, get involved in your local Food Not Bombs. Join Workers' World Party, look into, New African Black Panther Party, look into, Prison Solidarity and 13th Amendment Abolition Networks. I mean, there's a lot you can do to get out there. That's more than just clicking on a mic and picking, or sitting at home and picking a side between the two different microphones. All right, enough said. Much love to you, fam. We'll see you next time on Punks for Progress.